So it's been a very long time since I sat down to talk about any books, especially books that I'm reading. So welcome to this video, welcome back to this channel. Today I'm going to be highlighting the books that they're not technically on they are on my to be read list. However, these are books that I've purchased or were gifted between February and now. So I have a few and I wanted to share them with you. So I have a long to be read list, and I'll probably do a video with all the to be read books. And then we all know in December is when I start to pick the 6 books that I'm going to read for the following year. So I have a fair amount of books to pick from currently so that I can pick my list for next year. So these are the books that I've purchased and were gifted in February from February until now. That may not be entirely true. I may have purchased something in November, but I can't recall the exact month to which I purchased some of these books. But let's get started. So one of my latest purchases is Brown Girl Dreaming by Jacqueline Woodson. Now this particular book is about Jacqueline Woodson's life. It is a memoir. Jacqueline Woodson shares her childhood growing up as an African American in the 1960s and 1970s. And I love Jacqueline Woodson. The first book that I read of hers was Red at the Bone. I think I read this maybe 3-4 years ago, and I loved it. I love the way Jacqueline Woodson writes. It's very poetic, like the flow, the content is great, but the flow of the writing is even greater, which makes it a very easy, palatable read. She writes almost like in a poetic sense. Like, it's very poetic the way her writing is, which makes it easy, fun, warm, if that makes sense to read, and I love it. So Brown Girl Dreaming is written a little different than Red at the Bone. It definitely is written in a poetic sense. You see how these stanzas or lines are written just the same way people write poetry. Same way. So I'm looking forward to reading this book by Jacqueline Woodson to find out more about her life. I love her writing style, which is why, and I like her writing style, I like the content, I like all those things about her, how she writes. So I wanted to pick this up. Also, she is a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, my sorority. So of course I had to pick this up and read some more of my soror's books. I also picked up The Color of Water, A Black Man's Tribute to His White Mother by James McBride. And what was so interesting to me as I read some of the blurb about this book was that James McBride grew up in Brooklyn, Red Hook area, or Red Hook exactly. And my mom grew up in Red Hook, and she grew up in Red Hook. She was born in the late 50s, so she grew up in Red Hook in the 60s, 70s. And I found it interesting, some of the things that she told me about growing up in Red Hook and the different type of families and what it was like to live there and all that jazz. It was very similar to what Mr. McBride talked about in his book. Well, from the pages I could see that what he was discussing in his book, and he's highlighting his mom and her journey of raising, Black children in Brooklyn and Red Hook. I believe his mom was Jewish, so he discusses that at some point in this book. So I'm looking forward to reading The Color of Water by James McBride. I also picked up Colson Whitehead, Sag Harbor. This is it sounds like a fun summer teenagey story, and I love those things. Gives me the Inkwell vibe. I don't know if any of you ever seen Inkwell with Lorenz Tate, Jada Pinkett, Glenn Turner. Who else is in there? It was a huge cast. If you haven't seen Inkwell, go watch it. But I look forward to reading this really summery, fun book. I don't believe in necessarily summer books. I'll read books in all types, whatever the book is, whether it's like a summer themed book, I'll read it in the winter. It doesn't matter to me. But this gives summer vibes, as it should. It's Sag Harbor in the summer with a bunch of teenagers. So I look forward to reading that. Arsenic and Adobo. Okay. By Mia, I don't know how to pronounce Mia's last name. I'm going to say Manasala, and I could be wrong. But this, when I read the blurb, it sounds like such a fun, thrilling book to read. And the title alone caught my attention, Arsenic and Adobo. I'm like, okay, what is happening here? So it's about a young woman who had a horrible breakup. She is going to help her aunt with the failing restaurant that she has, and the ex pops back up, and all these weird things are happening, and then there's some type of investigation. I'm like, okay, I'm interested. You got me. Let's figure out what's about to happen here. So this is the first book in a new culinary cozy series full of sharp humor and delectable dishes, one of which might just be a killer. So this is, I think this is book 1 of 3 in this line. So it's a mystery, but Arsenic and Adobo. I was like, let's do this. Let's get into this. I also bought Medgar and Marley, Medgar Evers and the Love Story That Awakened America, and this is by Joanne Reed. I'm very interested in reading more about Medgar Evers. I always try to include a memoir of some sort every year when I read, and so I tend to purchase a couple of typically Black entertainers or civil rights folks or Black people who had an impact on the world, or anyone who I'm interested in. I like to try to read more about them. So I decided to pick up Medgar and Marley to learn more about Medgar Evers and Marley and their love story. But of course, they have their love story and how they navigated everything that he did up until his unfortunate assassination. So I look forward to getting into this. My mom gifted me this, Thicker Than Water by Kerry Washington. Again, another memoir. You know, we grew up on Kerry, Love Scandal, Save the Last Dance back in the day. And so I was very interested to find out, you know, just a little bit more about her. And so I look forward to reading this as well. And then lastly, because I am a thriller horror person, Jordan Peele's Out There Screaming. So it was edited by Jordan Peele, but it's an anthology of new Black horror. So I am a horror girl. I am a Nightmare on Elm Street. That is my #1. Wes Craven, rest in peace. Wes Craven was my favorite horror movie director, creator, and then came along Jordan Peele. So now he's one of my favorites as well. And so when I saw that he came out, well, he edited this anthology, or probably was the creative brain behind creating the anthology of Black horror short stories, I was like, I have to get this book. So of course, you know, I picked it up. And then the bonus to it all is that my brother's friend, Miss Janae Nichelle Frazier, actually designed the jacket cover art, and I got her to sign it for me. It says "With Love" and her initials are there. So I got her to sign it for me, and I look forward to getting into this book. So these are the books that I purchased probably towards the end of last year up until maybe 2 months ago. I purchased, my latest purchase was Medgar and Marley. That was my latest one. So I look forward to getting to all these books. Let me know if you all have read any of these books. Don't tell me what, don't tell me what happened in the book, of course. And don't tell me if you liked it or not. Don't tell me that. Because for me, if I find out someone didn't like a book, then I'm like, dang. And it kind of alters my thought process going into reading the book. So don't tell me if you liked it or not. Just tell me if you plan on reading it, if you have read it, or anything like that. Okay? So thank you. See you in the next video, which will probably be my to be read books. Just I have a lot of them. It's like double digits, so I'm not gonna go into each of them. I also plan on sitting down and going over like all the books that I read, my favorite books that I read from 2019 up until now, because each year I pick 6 to read, and just highlighting the favorites from each year. So I hope you watched that. I hope you enjoyed this. I tried to explain without saying too much about each book because I have yet to read it, but just really letting you know what sparked my interest to want to pick up these books and give them a chance and read them. Typically for me, it's the cover or it's the author that I've either read before, or something about the first few pages when I'm trying to figure out if I want to read the book or not, if I want to purchase the book or not. I'm reading the first few pages to really kind of put me on track as to what I want to do. So thank you again. See y'all in the next one. Bye.